I'm on 14. I pop on the 2B leggings, and let's go. I'm fucking double cheeked. I'm triple cheeked up. Let's go.
You've overclocked your ass. You're gaining more aggro the fatter your ass is too. Everybody's a tank.
Hello and welcome to the YASEcast. Welcome back. So happy to see you. We are here with episode 37. Joining me today, I've got Rhett.
Hello.
And we've got Morgan.
What's good?
Hey y'all. Obviously, I don't know if I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Lamo. I think everyone else is going by just like first name. Hi, I'm Nick. We're just gonna do this from now on.
What?
We're just gonna go first names now. Yeah. Hey, listen, we've been together for 37 episodes. I think it's time we move into real name territory. Hi, I'm Nick. Welcome to the YASEcast.
Hi, listener. What's yours? Good.
We're gonna
Good
wait.
name.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Wow, I love that name. That's a really cool name. It's like those. Did you ever see? There's like those happy birthday YouTube videos where it's like it's a happy birthday song, then it's like in the video will have like something pass over the person's mouth, and then it'd be like it's like wow, I hope you have a happy birthday, Bethany. It's like something like that. It's so fucking good.
My friend has linked me to those videos before. There's like 5,000 videos on one account, and they're all the same video. It's incredible.
Yeah, there's one that without fail, my friend group, we always link each other. I think it's just like happy birthday whoosh, and it's supposed to be like a guy in like an astronaut singing this song. It's great. It's fantastic. Happy
it's a
birthday,
guy in an astronaut.
Yeah, it's just is a man in space. They put a man all the way up there. It's goofy.
Sing happy birthday.
Yeah, he's up there in space to wish all of us a happy birthday. His name is Whoosh.
Thank you, Whoosh, for your service.
Thank you.
This podcast is dedicated to you, Whoosh.
This podcast is dedicated to the brave Muhajin spacemen.
Spacemen!
Of Sicily.
Oh my gosh. So what have y'all been up to this past week? Watching, playing. Morgan, let's start with you.
Well, one I gotta save for I think our actual subject here because I think it's a nice segue into that. But I decided to in my infinite wisdom, I figured that the best content for my budding streaming career would be to revisit The Missing, J.J. Meckefeld and the Island of Memories, which is an incredible game actually. And I had never really gone through and done the full 100%. So there were a couple of things that I had missed the first time around. And for those of you that have maybe played J.J. Meckefeld, or I'll just call it The Missing, or have been spoiled for it, you know that there's a major twist that happens in the last act of the game that going through and doing a second playthrough just to get all the donuts and get all the text messages and everything, it wildly changed my interpretation of the game and really enriched it in ways that I was not ready for. And I already thought that it was one of my favorite games, but now I think that game is bulletproof.
Damn.
Like the only thing in that game that I would change is that they keep calling the moose head guy Deer Man, and he is not a deer, he is a moose. They are different. But that's the only thing. That game is bulletproof, and it's just been completely in my brain for the past couple days, just thinking about the different dynamics and everything that goes along with it. A friend of mine, maybe not a wholesome comparison, or the best comparison, but they asked, like, is it Get Out for trans people? And I think it kind of maybe hits some of the same notes of it is a very visceral encapsulation of an experience of living as a trans person. I felt very seen and very represented in that game in a way that was disarmingly honest. And I never thought I would see, like, there were little touches, little exchanges with characters, little elements of it. And I was like, oh, damn, I didn't know people knew all my bullshit.
Damn.
And there were things in there that I vibe with very hard that I have never told another human being. And I didn't know. I thought, just kind of assumed that I was the only person that had ever experienced that, because it was something I didn't like talking about. But I don't know. Play the Missing. It's great. I spent $150 on the collector's edition limited run.
Limited run does that to people. They fucking they'll put out like just the niche enough thing, or like, fuck, this 100% targets me in the chest.
No, they did it to me. Like, they've never gotten me before, and I missed the original run, so I had to pay for it secondhand, so it was like double list price. But they got me where I live. So there's a plush toy that JJ has in the game named FK, and I kept telling myself, if they ever made like an actual plush FK, I would definitely buy it.
Well,
sure enough, it's in the limited run box.
The exact thing that
the exact thing. I'm like, I don't give a shit about the stickers. I don't give a shit about the donut stress ball. I don't give a shit about the game. I own the game. I've beaten the game. Give me that $150 plush.
Damn. I respect it though. The one piece of merch that I'd say almost got me to buy a game, and in this case it was a game I didn't even want, was the Fatal Cutie hat from SNK Heroines.
Yeah, that's up there too.
And I was like, I came so close to buying it. I'm like, I don't even want to play this game. But the hat though.
I really want the hat too, but
you honestly would have more fun with the hat than the game.
Yeah,
and I can attest to that.
100%.
Yes. The hat's way more fun.
Let me see if I'm sure someone made it, right? Like there's no way that. Yeah, you can buy it on eBay for $13 right now.
Yo, what? Dead ass?
That really?
Yeah, I just searched Fatal Cutie on eBay, and you can buy the hat for $13.
Fuck. And then there's a backpack underneath it that says Cutie Pie. Which is not related at all.
Not included, but could be inspiring.
Let me buy this hat. I'm gonna buy this hat live on the podcast.
I'm also buying this hat live on the podcast.
Yo, both are gonna race.
We're all getting this hat.
Live on the podcast.
Yeah, we stay hatted.
Stay capped. Keep your noggin warm.
There you go.
Fatal Cutie status.
Rhett, what have you been up to?
I've been playing racing games. I got myself a racing wheel for the first time ever. And it's been a lot of fun. I've been playing racing games as kind of in the past like month or so to be more of like a relaxation game, like a easy comfort food game that's not fighting games. I could just come home, pop on, do a couple races, and it kind of gives me the same type of effect as the so-called Tetris effect, where everything else all around you kind of blots out. Your mind is completely focused on one thing, and you just get into the zone. Like you kind of space out. Your soul leaves your body, and you're just focused on the one thing that you're doing. Driving games kind of do that. You tend to block out all other vision around you. You're hyper focused on one specific thing, and not only that, it's pretty relaxing. So I got myself a racing wheel to get to play those a bit more, which has been great fun. I'm having a blast doing that. Besides that, I've been playing a little bit of Alpha 2 on Fightcade with some friends, which is maybe the first time I played Alpha 2 in maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years. It's been a long ass time. And damn, that is a good ass fighting game. Something
really
like I keep on inputting dash, which that game does not have dash. You just have insane walk speed instead, which is really fun. Something modern fighting games don't have is good ass walk speed, but Alpha 2 has good ass walk speed, especially if you're playing a character like Chun. Chun is very nimble on her feet, so that's been absorbing a lot of my fighting game time. It's just hanging out with friends, chatting, playing some Alpha 2. It's been a good week for me. I'm doing fine.
Hell yeah! So first of all, I completely echo your sentiment about like racing games being something where you kind of get into the zone and you just tune everything out and becomes that very like that. I almost don't even want to say relaxing, because that doesn't quite nail it for how I'm feeling, but I feel so in tune with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like your mind, your body, and your eyes are all connected as just like one thing, and they're all doing exactly one thing.
Right.
The most accurate I can probably get it is just being in the zone. Like you just get
Yes.
in the zone, and that's just it. Like you're just gone. And I think you could sometimes get that with like fighting games. Like I sometimes find myself like just net playing with friends, and after like game 30, I finally am in the zone where that's all I'm focused on. But games like Tetris or like a racing game, you immediately, as soon as you step into there, you're immediately in the zone.
Yeah.
Which is great after a long day's work. Just going sitting down and doing something like that, get your mind off everything else around you.
Yeah.
There's
You play that,
there's
like
a
the
term-
right song comes on, and it's like, all right, I'm in. What's up, Morgan? Sorry, go ahead.
There's a term for what you're talking about in the literature. They call it a flow state.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, getting in the zone. It's like the flow state where you're like really focused and just like very, very into it.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where like
Yeah.
everything else, it's There was a I think about this all the time. I don't know why I remember this so much, but do you guys remember like I think it was the 20th anniversary of Street Fighter, or 25th or something, and they had a tournament series, and Damdai was an ST, and I remember that his quote for whenever he went on stage was that it's not just a game to me anymore, it's a pathway to flow.
Whoa.
And it's like the hardest shit anyone has ever said about a fighting game.
I remember he's actually had he has a whole slew of very good quotes about fighting games. Because I know I've heard that one before, and I've heard a few others that are unfortunately escaping me. But Damdai has a very good way with being deep about fighting games.
I love that. I love looking at fighting games as more than just a game, and looking at it as like an extension of like how you interact with people and how you I don't know, like there's such a rich deepness to fighting games, I guess, and being able to explain that just makes my heart flutter. I love it.
I love you all. Thank you. Like since we
Love you
played
too,
games
Morgan.
together and all that, it's just like getting real emotional over here.
Got a lot of emotions, and it's funny because, and this is something we probably talked about last week when we were talking about getting over it. But there was that thing we were talking about that Rhett, I believe you actually had posted about how when people had beaten getting over it, they were entered into a chat room with Bennett Foddy. And since you posted this, there's one quote from that someone said that still sticks out to me, and I still think about a lot. And I feel it almost comes kind of similar to what, not exactly what Damned I said, but the quote was, "I've come to realize that as I got higher up the mountain, I got more relief falling than getting progress."
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, and that applies so well to fighting
Right.
games. So well. When you're first starting off, every single loss matters to you. You lose 5 games online, and you're just crushed for the rest of the night.
You're fighting tooth and
can't
nail for
do it.
every little bit that you can get.
Oh, if you get one win, you're just ecstatic. But every little loss hurts. But when you're so high up on the mountain after game 5,000, once you start losing more and you lost 20 games, you're excited. You're like, oh my God, this is where I get to improve. This is where I found my weakness. I can now start to see some improvement. So applying that to fighting games, but more so applying that to your life. God, it's a good quote.
It's a very good quote. I've seriously been thinking about it for the past week, almost nonstop.
There's the reality to it. I know that I talked about it last week, but like particularly in the context of that game, I vibe with that really hard. Of like as I got toward the end, at the beginning of the game, I was very anxious about falling, but after having a couple of falls, you're kind of like, wait, falling is an opportunity to learn and get better at this game. In a way, and as I get back, it might have taken me 2 hours to get to the point where I had my first real big fall, and then getting back there took 10 minutes. And you're just like, felt really cool. And then you realize that actually falling isn't that big of a deal. It's actually an opportunity to learn and get better and master the movements that you need to get where you actually want to go, which is space in that game.
You're becoming the spaceman to say happy birthday to everybody. In your,
Bennett
in your
Foddy is the
pot
birthday
in your
spaceman.
hammer. Yes. But it applies to real life as well, and it's a lesson that until it's thrown at you into your face and you get it in visual audio game form where you're able to absorb it, and maybe doesn't hit you. It's such an introspective game, but I don't know if there's ever been a game that I can name off the top of my head, at least. I'm sure maybe it's out there, but I can't name a game that its direct theme is failure. And not like dying like Dark Souls. I'm not going to talk about like Dark Souls difficulty. I'm talking about specifically dealing and getting over with failure. And that is your theme. It's so strong. I can't think of any other game that tackles that and does it with such, I guess, grace. Because it's not going to hold your hand through failure. Failure should hurt and it should suck, but once you stumble, it's not that bad. You get up and you try it again. And like you said, that 2-hour mark is now 10 minutes. Failure taught you that looking back on yourself is okay, and looking at how far you've improved is okay too.
More media, movies especially, should embrace failure as a very real option for the protagonists.
Yeah. Imagine if The Pursuit of Happiness. Let's take that movie. What if that dude just fucking failed? What if you go through that whole movie in 1 hour and 45 minutes in and he doesn't get the job? And it's like, well, now I got to deal with failure. I got to deal with homelessness. And... God.
I got my movies
Imagine
mixed
how
up.
different the world would be.
Holy shit!
How could you put that in the world?
My hurts saying it out loud, but honestly, you bring that up. There's not a lot of media that throws that back at your face. Like, deal with it. Deal with failure. I dare you.
The most current example I can think of in a movie, and I don't want to get into a big tangent. A lot of people complain about in Star Wars: The Last Jedi how it's like, oh well, they go to this casino planet and it just it wasn't worth it. Like nothing happened. It's like their plan failed. I'm like, yeah, that's good. I like that. Sometimes your fucking plans don't work out. How do you move on from there?
Not a tangent, but the Casino Planet section rules.
Agreed. Because
it illustrated that there was a point there about war profiteering that I think went over a lot of people's heads, that the same people are selling weapons to what are they called? The First Order and the other people whose names I can't remember because they're not the rebellion anymore. But there's actually, the way you're talking about it reminds me of, oh God. During my lead up to my competency exams for my PhD, I listened to one particular Vocaloid song a lot called Track, which kind of hits the same point because the chorus is it turns out that it wasn't as strong or as weak as I thought. And the whole arc of the song is about failure and moving on and all of that, which was very important for me at the time because it turns out, PhD competency exams are difficult, and it was an important thing to internalize and being able to get through that period. So yeah,
it definitely hit at
fighting games are
in your life.
Yeah, fighting games are cool.
Fighting games are cool.
Fighting games are cool.
I'm glad the council has decided here.
Fighting games suck, actually. I'm changing my vote. Fighting games are bad, and the only thing worse than fighting games is VTubers.
Damn.
Oh, Morgan with the heel turn. Heard it here first. Yeah, fighting games are good. They force you to deal with failure. Some people haven't had to deal with that before, and that's why fighting games are tough.
All right. I'm gonna talk about my thing real quick. So past week, maybe week and a half, I've gotten very into a show that's been out for a while. A show that I've seen clips of, and I've also watched YouTube poops of. I got really into King of the Hill.
Yeah.
That show, so that's a show that I saw it when it was airing and I was much younger, and it, for whatever reason, it went right over my head. Just didn't get it. I was like, I'm just gonna watch something else. Now I've gone through almost 3.5 seasons. I'm just like, this show's fantastic. It's so good. I feel so dumb for not getting it earlier, but now that I'm watching it, I absolutely love it. It is a mix of like, if by somehow you're not familiar with it, it is the idea of people living in a small town in the middle of Texas. A lot of the characters are very much caricatures, but there's also like something very wholesome about a lot of the characters too. There is like a lot of like, they all have their flaws, but they also have their very good moments where all of their best qualities come through. Oh my god, the show is just absolutely hilarious. So like there's one episode where a real estate developer comes in from Boston, and Hank Hill, the main character, is trying to make a propane sale, saying, "Hey, I want to be able to supply, propane for your complex, whatever." That like a big sale for the company. And this guy only thinks of, he expects Texas to be like every stereotype and cowboy movie that he's watched. And so he's like, well, why aren't you wearing, your big cowboy hat and your cowboy boots and everything else? And it's very good. It's a very, very good episode. I'm really enjoying the show. It's on Hulu, so if you have Hulu, go ahead and watch it there. I've been doing a lot of that. And it's funny too, speaking to Dave, our resident Texonian, I believe they're called. He's called it surprisingly spot on in a lot of ways. and I believe he did say someone directly sounds or talks a lot like how Boomhauer does on the show.
No way. No. Stop.
Thank you, Dave. Our Texas YASE-based Texas branch correspondent.
But yeah, so I've been watching a lot of that, and then I've been kind of sneaking my way back into some Mario World ROM hacks. There's been a whole fucking ton of really good ones that have come out recently. And the one I'm playing through right now is a sequel to one that came out a few years ago that was considered to be like, if you were just starting out in playing Kaizo ROM hacks, this is one of the good, like, hey, you've played through like the very beginner stuff. This is maybe, a good step up in difficulty before you move on to harder things. And so it's a sequel to that hack, and I've been absolutely loving it. It's called Akogari Mario, and this is Akogari Mario 2. Just fantastic job all around. It's very pretty. There's a lot of really cool color palettes that he's using. The levels all flow really well so far. And granted, I'm still in the first half of it, but oh man, it's if you look at like a good SMW hack, there's a flow there that does not exist in the vast majority of a lot of like Mario Maker levels. Like if you play through a random level on Mario Maker, chances are it's not going to be very good. And so it's refreshing to play something that just feels curated almost. Like it's like, hey, I know what to do here. I know what to do here, and I don't want to break speed. It's like they design around, how do I make the player feel really good about what they're doing, and how do I make the player really enjoy what they're doing. It's not as much about, how's it going to be really hard to execute and all these really challenging things. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has challenges in it. It still requires knowledge of the game and being able to do some specific mechanics. But it's just, everything is lined up and shaped in this very, very pleasing way.
That's something that, after playing Mario Maker and trying to make levels, it's actually very difficult to get a player, like putting yourself in the role of the player rather than the role of the creator. Because being the creator, you have an overwhelming amount of power at your fingertips where you're like, I kind of want to screw with the player a little bit. I want to do this. I want to put, a huge stopping point where like they're going to have to overcome this challenge. But putting yourself in the mind of the player, it seems like on paper, it seems like it'd be a pretty simple concept, but it's extremely difficult to get right.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Maybe I'm wrong, but when it comes in terms of Mario Maker, Was there ever a way to have sequential levels like worlds?
Yes.
Or was it always individual? Oh, so they did.
Yeah, they did patch in stuff like that, like worlds eventually, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna play, super whatever world. But yeah, that wasn't in the base game at launch.
Yeah, I remember that was something that I saw the community really asking for, to be able to have more of a curated experience. So it doesn't feel like more segmented, but rather someone can say, yeah, as a developer, here's a flow to the world. But I've watched you stream the Kaizo hacks. I think that they're fun to watch too, and you can see that flow coming through, even as a viewer. Of like, this was very deliberately designed to have a certain rhythm to it, to have a certain energy to it, and especially when I watch good ROM hacks, like it comes together very cohesively.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just cool.
I
think they're neat.
It's really funny because earlier this week, I want to say it was 2 days ago, so Tuesday night, I think. I'm playing and like I just started playing it this night, and I beat the second level, and I'm like, I want to play that again. Like, that level was so good that I don't even want to go on to the next one. I want to go back and replay that level one more time because it was that enjoyable.
That hardly ever happens, even in mainline Mario games.
Yeah.
How often do you beat like 1-2 and you're like, oh, that was a good ass 1-2. I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. I am loving this hack so much so far. Felt good to talk about that. Felt good to. That's out into the world. It's out into the ether.
Spread the love.
Yeah. Oh man. So we can probably move on into our main topic here, and we want to talk about tropes. And tropes are something like you can see in so much of our media. There's even, hey, what do you know? There's web pages devoted to just pointing out tropes in all of the media you consume. What a fun process to do. But no, seriously, there's so many different tropes that make up the media that we consume. And we kind of want to talk about the ones that we like and maybe some of the ones that we don't like very much. I
just like tropes. There's none that I dislike.
Damn.
Actually, there are.
Not a one? There's got to be.
No, there's definitely one that I can think of, and it's problematic.
Uh-oh.
There you go. There's a lot of problematic tropes out there, everybody. We shouldn't shy away from those. Instead, we should tackle them head on.
No, this is one we should.
Butt ass foonery.
All right.
Do we want to do the bad ones first, and then like, all right, fuck, we got the bad ones out of the way. Now let's talk about the shit we were into.
All right, let me go off.
Yeah.
Let me get this off my chest. There is one piece of this is a trope in real life. This is, or I guess, a meme in real life. This is a trope in a lot of media that I've come across, particularly sapphic media. In other words, women that are in love with women. There is a really shitty stereotype that has become a trope that bisexual women will leave you for men. And that is a thing that I've been told by, like, so full disclosure and total TMI to stranger listener who probably knows me, but maybe not that well. My therapist is a 60-year-old lesbian. So there's like a generation gap between us. And so I'll talk to her about like, so regale me, Elder Gay, with your wisdom. And
Elder Gay, yeah.
She'll, drop that of just like, yeah, there's some people that will tell you like you should never date bi women because they will either cheat on you or they will leave you for a man or both.
Jesus Christ.
And it sucks. And I was reading this, the first volume, it came out like this week, of manga from the creator of Wandering Sun called Even Though We're Adults. And it is a central element of one character's backstory that she keeps dating women that then leave her for men to get married and have kids. And it sucks. And it's one thing that I really wish if it was going to be handled, it should be handled more critically. Instead, it kind of just gets thrown out there. And I don't love it. We'll see if that story keeps going with it. But like, I saw it and I was like, I get why this is here and it sucks. Please do better.
That sucks.
That's garbage.
That's a bad trope. Yeah.
That's real bad, right? You feel bad now.
Yeah, it just makes me feel a certain way where it's like, oh, like it's not our job to, or it's not the writer's job to write by people in the role of both both positions to enforce like how bi they are. Look at how bi they are. Whoa, they're super bi. They were with a woman and now they're with a man. We proved their bi-ness. It's not. It doesn't
That's
have
not
to
how
be
it has to
proven,
work.
and
Yeah.
that's the worst way to prove it too. That's terrible.
Yeah, shit sucks.
And I'm sure that, again, like you're saying, that carries over into real world human being tropes. Ew.
Yeah, I've been told it by older lesbians specifically. That was like the first time I ever heard it and why it sticks out to me in media, because I've had people in real life tell me that it's like, shouldn't date bi women, they'll leave you eventually. And I'm like,
Jesus Christ.
That's insensitive.
It's
Put it
terrible.
mildly.
Yeah. Yeesh. Okay. I can go off about a trope I don't like.
Oh yeah, do it.
I'll follow up.
Sage is
My one, and I was talking with the wife about this one. One character trope that, again, I think carries over into real life tropes where people have bad perceptions of people are characters that are fat and their entire personality is how much they're going to eat food. And they can't just be a normal, they don't get any other writing, they don't get any other jokes. It's just they're fat and they like food.
That's their entire person. Yeah.
It's their entire the entire thing. There's a character in Fire Emblem Three Houses that has this issue, and I haven't hit the time skip, so maybe he gets written a little bit differently after the time skip. But every time I talk to the dude Raphael, and it's like, man, I wish I knew more about you. You seem like a nice dude, but your writing isn't giving me anything to go off of here, bud. It's rough, and I hate it.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Julie just started playing Three Houses and picked Golden Deer, so I'm always curious about that house because it's the one I probably know the least about, having not played the game. So that sucks. Also, I think about Rufus too, in Street Fighter 4. Like, even I remember the trailer for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. The way they introduce him is he's just got like 5 empty bowls of ramen in front of him, and then he fights Bob.
Yeah,
and it's
look at the fat people go at it, and same thing with Birdie in Street Fighter 5. Well, his V skill is eating junk food and drinking sugar.
His whole story
drinks,
thing is wanting to just eat more food, and so
his whole story. I forgot his whole story thing is just a quest for food. Wow, that sucks. Yeah. And again, like, I wish I want to know more about them. Give me anything else. What else is Birdie up to? What's going on, my dude? Like, let's just have a heart-to-heart, Birdie.
Yeah.
I want to know what's up, man.
Tell me about your hair.
Yeah, you
Tell me
got a haircut?
about Birdie's hair.
That's cool. Didn't you have a little birdie at one point in Alpha 3's like profile picture or something? His avatar. What happened to that bird, dude? I don't know. He won't tell me. He won't talk to me. That's one of my least favorite tropes. It's such a bad trope because it's doing nothing nowadays. It's a trope that maybe existed in the 80s and 90s as a terrible quick joke, which has grown tired extremely, extremely quick. It shouldn't exist anymore. It's very, very tired. And maybe we could move on from that. That's a bad one.
All right. It's time to get this out of my system once again. I got all my love for good Mario ROM hacks out before. Now we can talk about my most hated trope. Fan service where it doesn't fucking belong, or rather, randomly inserted fan service. I'm not a fan of fan service in I mean just like oh my god, boobs, just like that. And there's certain shows that right from the get go are like, okay, like I've seen the trailer for this. I know this is going to be a horny show. Fine, I can avoid it. That's not a problem. One of the most annoying things to me, one of the things that really bothered me the most, I'm going to give a specific example here. I can't remember the fucking name. It's an isekai. The guy dies, and the girl's like, you can bring one thing. And he's like, I'm bringing you. Konosuba?
I don't know.
Is it Konosuba?
Konosuba, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I watched the first season of the show, and I generally liked it. And it kind of skirts that line a little bit. Like, it's okay. It's a little. There's some moments, but I can kind of get past them. And then between seasons 1 and 2, there's an OVA, and the OVA is the fucking horniest goddamn thing I've ever seen. And like, it's really uncomfortably horny. It's really like predatory horny. And it completely fucking turned me off from the show, and I hated it. I had never went back to watch season 2.
Ouch.
And I don't know. Like, I don't like fan servicey things in general. If you want to be horny about a thing, cool, that's fine. But I don't like that shit just being like slid in here. Like I said, if it's something where I know from the get-go, like I found out very early on in college when a group of my friends wanted to watch High School of the Dead, I was like, oh, this is the kind of show this is. It's not for me. I'm good, thanks.
So
It's
you
very
say that.
apparent that it's adult entertainment. It's very apparent that it is what it is. This is what you're getting. There's a time and space for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned that because I was thinking about High School of the Dead earlier this morning because the theme song came up on my Spotify procedurally generated bullshit while I was walking my dog, and there's the one scene in there, and maybe you remember. Are you thinking about the same scene where he shoots the sniper bullet and it like goes through it? Yeah.
I was thinking specifically where I was like, oh no, how are you going to bounce a sniper rifle? And he just like lays the barrel across like some girl's boobs as he shoots, and I'm like, this is the worst fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Balances it on the one girl's tits, and she gets injured by the recoil, which sucks. But the other girl does like a backflip, and the bullet like passes through her tits as they separate in slow motion. High School of the Dead is a show you can watch.
It's certainly a show you can watch.
That's actually so over the top. It's really good.
I felt
it's
uncomfortable.
Really back around from bad to good.
I felt uncomfortable with that show being being around people. I was like, I don't want to, y'all. I don't want to watch this with y'all. I don't want to watch this with myself. I don't want anybody to watch this. Call me a grumpy old man. Call me a Puritan. I do not care. This shit's just gross. That's my rant. No, anti-horny club, right here.
So you're good with like genuine horny, but like performative horny is where you draw the line.
Yeah, I guess that's a much better way to put it.
That's a very good way to put it. That's
performatively
exactly
horny
where I
shit
feel
is a very good way to describe it.
I hate it when it's horny and then it feels like it's winking at me.
Yeah,
it's like it's weird where it's like, hey, and I'm like, look, if I know where to find porn. I'm an adult.
Yeah. All right, we got our dislikes out of the way. Let's talk about the shit that we cannot get enough of.
Fan service.
No, Rhett! No!
Yeah!
Top 1 anime betrayal.
God damn it!
But it's all about those titties.
My favorite anime, High School of the Dead. Followed by the Konosuba OVA.
Top two out of 2. Sorry, go on. I really cut you off.
No,
So,
go for it.
Let's talk about good stuff. Yeah.
Things we actually like. Love. I'm down with that.
I was gonna say, Morgan, since you went first, do you wanna take the first spot here?
Yeah, I do. So there is one trope. I fucking love it every time I come across it. I've been watching Little Witch Academia with my girlfriend, and there is an element in the setting of that story that I absolutely love, which is when magic is the magical elements of a world. So it's kind of like a Harry Potter-ish thing. There's like a magic school, there's witches, etc. in the story, but it's superimposed with modern technology. So it's not like they live in like this special world. It's like in the context of Little Witch Academia, magic is boring to people because smartphones exist. And like that kind of element where there's sort of like a clash between like fantasy elements that are juxtaposed with modern technology. Like, okay, what's the like, oh, I have a crystal ball that can like, I can scry for information, and then someone takes out their smartphone and it's like, yeah, cool. That's the kind of stuff I love. Like when they meet the great dragon Fafnir in Little Witch Academia pretty early. And even he's like, look, magic is done. It's boring. It's over. He's a stock trader. He's into crypto.
No.
No. Oh,
Fafnir is a crypto fascist. No.
He's got like a multi-monitor setup, and he's a dragon, so it's like gigantic and everything. It's like, it's so goofy and so fun. But even he's sitting there as like this great magical creature, and he's like, look, magic is boring. And like, I love that idea of when things that are fantastical are portrayed in a way that makes them so mundane that they're just like a thing that people find boring.
I love that too. Yes.
And it's done really well in that show because the only character that's really enthusiastic about magic is the main character, and everybody else is really jaded and thinks that magic sucks, actually.
So you could really connect with the main character much, much easier then, because you're them. You're like, oh my god, magic is really cool. I want to learn more about magic, and everybody else around you in that universe is like, nah.
I never thought about it that way. That's actually a super fucking cool way to look at it.
Yeah, it's a good trait for a protagonist.
I love that. I think that happens in sci-fi a lot, which I've seen a tweet that has pointed this out, that like sci-fi shouldn't have to ever explain its technology to the viewers. It just should, like, that's just like people's everyday life. This should just naturally happen. There should be no explaining. There should be no like, well, this is the plasma combobulator, and this is what it does. It should just be like, no, they're just gonna go use the fucking sci-fi microwave and not think about it. It just exists. It's mundane. It's normal.
Yeah, it's one thing Star Trek does really well. And like, I know people lampoon it and be like, technobabble, they just make shit up. And it's like, yeah, they make shit up. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, the plasma
they don't have to explain it. It's like, this is so rote in their universe. Like, yeah, it's just, why wouldn't they do it? Yeah.
They go to the replicator and they get a Rectigino. They don't need to explain to you what a Rectigino is. It's Klingon coffee. That's all you need to know.
They get a Dunkachino from Dunk Pacino.
Dunk Pacino would be a Klingon.
Damn. Oh. Rhett,
what is trope?
What is one of the tropes that you love?
One of my tropes that I love would be characters who are just magically able to invent shit with just their pure nerdiness. And it's a weird trope to talk through. So I'm going to try and talk myself through it while I'm talking you through it at the same time. So in my mind, I love characters like Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles. I love characters like Tails Miles Per Hour from the Sonic universe. I love that little nerdy kid from like Dark Cloud 2. They all just carry around these big ass wrenches, and they just know how to fix everything. They know how to like create anything. They're like building airplanes. They're like inventing rocket science. They're just like building shit out of scraps that they find on the floor, and it's almost like steampunk-ish in a way, where like steampunk's whole thing is like, oh, you could just like have an engine combust, like create anything that you want just for like taking up scraps and like bringing it up around you. But then you can apply that one step further into like the fantasy universe, into like the normal everyday universe, and just like that trope of a character being an inventor and being able to just scrap together stuff and just being like not exactly like towards a profession, but more of like a hobby. Because then you go like one step further, where there's definitely like inventors in media that is their job. When you're looking at like Luigi's Mansion and you have EGAD, that's kind of his job, is to be like the inventor scrapping things together. Or like Stu Pickles from Rugrats, like that's his job. I'm thinking more like the hobbyist, like, oh yeah, of course I could just make this thing. I'm not gonna profit off it. I just built an airplane because I wanted to. Fuck you.
That was one of the things I really loved about Mega Man Legends.
Yes.
You could find like some garbage and bring it to Roll, and she's like,
Roll
yo,
is that character.
I can make a fucking beam sword out of this shit. And you're like, hell yeah, Roll.
I love it. I love just being like, yeah, Roll could just like craft anything out of anything. You just found some garbage and some ruins. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sure,
Hell yeah, bring me that shit.
I love it. That is such a good character trope.
It really is. I love that shit.
Do you read One Piece at all, or watch One Piece?
I've read up to chapter 100, where I think they beat Buggy's ass for the second time. I think.
All right. Well,
and that's about as far as I got.
That kind of becomes the thing with Usopp and like what he
Ooh.
does is like
Yeah.
always
Oh,
like
hell yeah.
I see him with like goggles. When a character
Yeah,
has
he's got,
goggles, that's when you know they're up to some
and he's
fucked
like-
up shit.
it's he gets into like that's sort of the niche that he's in, and sort of like he builds stuff, and it's pretty cool.
I love that. That's a way better character for him than just being kind of a shithead.
Yeah, it's the direction he goes
Most
in. and
things
it's
are
nice.
better than being a shithead.
Yeah, because Usopp is nothing but just like slapstick comedy in the first couple like 100 chapters. So if that's where he ends up, is being a bit more involved in like creating shit, I can get behind that.
Yeah,
That's exactly like that's the type of character that I'm like that's for me. Like when I was growing up as a kid and I would see something like that. That's like I didn't want to like grow up to be a fireman. I didn't want to grow up to be like a policeman. I wanted to grow up and like build shit with my hands and be just like that, where I'm just so good at shit I can just take scrap and put it together and there's my rocket ship. Or there's my rocket boots. I don't know.
100% with you on that. I was the same fucking way. I was like, the person who's able to just like figure shit out and like build shit. Like Donatello was my favorite Ninja Turtle. Same sort of thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
It's such a good character trope. I can't get enough of them.
Oh, hell yeah. So mine is it's I feel like it's not anything that's like rare, but it gets me fucking hype every time. It's a very shonen thing. It is when someone takes off the training weights.
Ooh.
And especially when you don't know they've been wearing training weights the whole time.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. So like the two biggest examples I can give are like Piccolo in Dragon Ball Z when he takes off like the hat and you're like, okay, whatever. Then you're like, oh fuck no, that like shook the planet with like how much it weighed or whatever, and you're like,
the fatal
hell
Cuties
yeah,
hat.
hell yeah. My green best friend is about to just really fuck some shit up. I am here for it. And probably what I think is maybe even like most famously is Rock Lee taking off his training weights to fight Gaara very early on in Naruto. That was like before episode 50. I watched that and I was like, I don't need to watch Naruto anymore. Like
It can't get any better.
Like it's peaked. It's called Naruto. Who the fuck is Naruto? I'm here for Rock motherfucking Lee. He takes off the training weights. Everyone's like, huh, like that's really gonna make a difference. Whatever. And then the dust comes up, and he's just beating the shit out of Gar. Oh my god. I could go on about that shit forever. Maybe one day I'll finally watch Naruto. Probably not though. But yeah, that's like the hypest shit because it combines two things. It combines one, it's like okay, this fight is about to change, but two, it's that everyone around knows it's about to change. It is like the air gets heavier. You could hear a pin drop. You're like, I would be so glued to the screen. Like I'd be like, I'm not moving at all. Like there are no muscles in my body that are like, just like all my energy is focused on this one thing. My lungs are going.
Oh, no.
I guess. My lungs are moving. I'm fine. I'm out of breath from talking about it. That's how hype I am. But,
how do you feel about this? Is maybe a related trope, but characters coming back from an injury and they take the bandage off.
Oh yeah, that's up there too. That's that same kind of that's a different feeling though, because taking off the training weights is like this fight has completely changed and someone's about to get their ass whooped, but taking the bandages off of an injury, I mean, it can also like lead to the same thing, but to me that's more of a feeling of like reunion. You know, it's like whoever was part of our group that maybe they had to take a backseat for a while. It's like now they're back with us. Everyone's together again. Like also a very good trope.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, I'm trying to recollect if this is exactly how it goes, but like Deku in My Hero Academia. I think it's like the first or second season, that dude's bandaged up for like half the season, and some of the final fights, he's just like not even fully healed. He's just still going through it.
Not even
like,
close.
Sure, yeah, but you're still rooting for him. You're like, yeah, that's so cool, but ooh, that's gonna hurt.
It's
that's
shattering his
also like
arms
something
for,
that was like,
yeah, his arms and legs and fingers, just every little bit.
The fact that,
sorry
that
for
he's
season
like,
one spoilers.
no, you're fine.
If you care about Deku, yeah, poor dude gets a little bummed.
Yeah, I mean, season one, and I'm sure this continues too in later seasons, although I dropped off. But the fact that he's willing to, I mean, not put his body on the line in more ways than one. Where it's, hey, I'm willing to go all out for this and put everything into this one attack, knowing that I'm not going to be able to attack again with this body part afterwards. Like, it is going to be more or less destroyed. It is going to be useless. I'm not going to be able to move my arm because it will be broken. Which I think is also like a very cool idea for a power too. Like, this is more than your body can handle, and it will destroy your body. It's like that's actually a pretty fucking cool.
That's a really cool premise. I love that as a premise. Yeah, something that maybe doesn't get explored too often. Usually it's like, I'm gonna fire off the big beam, and everybody's like, no, don't fire off the big beam. And they do it anyway. They do the big beam, and it's like, oh no, they did it. They did the big beam. Oh,
They did the big beam. Oh no.
oh no. Yeah. But that's definitely a trope that doesn't get explored often enough. Is like, hey, you have too much power.
Yeah.
How do you get that in control?
Because, you know, usually it's just something where, you know, you've kind of trained alongside this power and built it up. I can't think of many occasions where it's been, you know, it's you're suddenly, you know, normal you, but now you're given this incredible power that you don't know how to use.
Oh, that's a good
Could
one.
be like something like Marvel Universe, Spider-Man, Iron Man, maybe something like that, where it's like, oh yeah, I got the Iron Man suit and I'm really stupidly reckless, or yeah, I'm Spider-Man and I don't understand the consequences of my actions. I'm just doing what feels right at the moment. Stuff like that, maybe not as overtly like you have this much power, but more so the abuse of what you do have, I guess.
Yeah. Man. Some tropes are good. Some tropes are bad. These tropes suck.
Bad.
These tropes rule.
Yeah.
As an ancient sage may say.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. I'm glad you brought that one up in particular. Another piece that gets me, and I think is kind of in the same boat, at least in terms of like coming back from injury, is when characters play through an injury, especially in like a sports series. That's one that gets me where it's just like, ooh, there's one section in Haikyuu where a character gets injured, gets bandaged. My dog is crying at me. Maybe that's even being picked up on my mic. Gets injured, goes and like gets his hand taped up, and then comes back, and like is like the person that it's like yes.
Those are real tear jerkers. Yes.
Yeah, like the real tear jerkers. Like he's like blocking the shots, but every time he blocks, it's like there's so much pain in his hand.
I know that exactly what you're talking about. Haikyuu is so fucking good. God damn.
Haikyuu is so much
Haikyuu
of my bullshit.
Oh.
How do we feel about ending it here?
We should end it here because I just want to watch anime. I want to watch.
All right. Well, that's terrible. This episode was a total failure.
I want to watch Haikyuu though.
Okay, that's fine.
There we go. All right. Thank you.
You should read it if you haven't.
I really should. That was my original plan because like the anime was done at one point. And I was like, okay, well, I want to keep moving along with the story, but then I never did. Anyway, sorry. We should wrap it up here. We got shit to do. Thank you everyone for listening to us on episode 37. I appreciate you listening to us. Thank you to Rhett and Morgan for joining me here tonight. We'll be coming back at you again next week with a brand hot new episode of the YASEcast. Until then, stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.